Hi, I'm Diane Gattullo, and welcome to Warehouse 34. And as always, I have some great friends on the show, and I am so proud and so honored to have two amazing friends who happen to be crazy DJs who just won and received Lifetime Achievement Awards from Legends of Vinyl, which is an amazing organization. So we have my brothers from another mother, Eddie D, DJ Eddie D, and DJ Tito Tee, right here.
What's up, Diane? How you doing?
What are you doing, guys? Thank you for joining me.
So happy to be here. Normally I'm on that side. Now I'm on this side, so I kind of feel kind of awkward here, but I'm going to try my best.
You like to talk to people, but you never like to answer questions. So tonight, I have you in the hot spot.
Oh, this is a hot seat.
That's right. I have you in the hot seat. So congratulations on an amazing award for the two of you.
It was an awesome night. It was surrounded by so many talented people.
Absolutely.
I mean, there were so many. Hold on a second. Do you mind if I take my phone out?
No, take your phone out. Because you know what? It is such a level of distinction to be recognized by this group.
Yeah,
LOV is amazing.
Yeah, a great group.
You know, they've been around for 10 years. The founder was Luis Mario. Mm-hmm. And what he did was he wanted a place to recognize producers, writers, DJs, and artists,
mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And he's been going for 10 years. And we were nominated this year.
Yes.
Out of a whole bunch of people. So I was very flattered. Let me tell you about all the people that were on the show. BBQ Band.
Wow.
Brenda K. Starr.
Oh, wow.
C-Bank.
Poof.
Change. Crown Heights Affair. Cynthia.
Oof.
Instant Funk. Lou Graham. Sapphire.
Oh.
Come on.
You were all honored together?
All together, right? Received awards.
That's pretty wild.
And then the DJs, Billy Olette.
Wow.
He got an award. Ernie Lombardi, Ray Connors. Also, an award was given to songwriter Patrick Adams, who wrote In the Bush, worked for Prelude Records.
In the Bush was like an anthem back then.
Unfortunately, he passed away, but he's a legend in the disco world, Patrick Adams.
This is, it's hard to imagine that it's only 10 years old, that somebody didn't do it before.
Well, not true.
Because there's just so much.
Other people tried it, just they weren't successful doing it.
Right.
But with the board of directors, guys like Danny Pucciarelli, Al Magliano, Pinky Vasquez, and a whole bunch of other guys, they're the brains. And, you know.
People can go on to Legends of Vinyl. They're on all social media platforms.
Yes,
correct.
And they can go check out that organization, and they can find out a little bit more about all of the past award recipients. And also you guys, everybody who just received their awards. But I have to just say, congratulations. I'm so proud.
Thank you so much. I mean,
really, I'm so proud of the both of you.
It meant so much.
It really did. It was really an honor to have that.
Absolutely. And it was a great night. And you should have been there, Diane.
I know. I try everything, but you know what? It's the crazy season right now for me.
Right, I know.
But listen, we'll still make it to DJ, dinners and all the rest of that stuff because
that's another thing.
I'm the only girl in the group, even though I'm not a DJ. That you guys treat like a little sister, and you allow me to come and hang out with you guys.
We just had the DJ dinner also last week.
Yeah, we have
2 weeks ago.
We've been doing it for the last 8 years. The DJ dinner. Me and Paul Pazzone, we started it. And it's a great time to get all the guys together, have a great time, shoot the breeze, and just talk about what we love to do is music. And we have a good time every year. And it keeps growing every year.
How lucky are you, really, the both of you, and your group of of friends, that you fell in love with something back in the day that was so important to your life, and that although you've had other really distinguished careers. Right. As you raised your families and everything, that you're still able to be in the game and be so good at it that you guys are still being recognized for your efforts.
Very fortunate.
Very fortunate.
And it's a field where it's constantly changing. When I started, it was disco. Mm-hmm. And now we're playing. I went into the whole phase with the 80s music, 90s techno. Mm-hmm. And we worked at the Limelight, so we were playing that stuff
We had Pastels with techno.
I was playing that stuff
right.
at Pastels, and I introduced the crowd to techno and reggae at the time with Dennis, the owners. We'll go, what is this music? Where's the disco?
Yeah.
But that wasn't the people we had. I mean, the crowd wanted to hear that.
They wanted to hear new things.
They wanted to hear new things.
I mean, that's listen. We have an hour, so we have the whole idea
absolutely.
of sharing of what DJs actually do, which is share new cutting edge music to inspire, and keep a crowd with jaw dropping moments all night long. But let's start with, okay, so Eddie, I know you better and longer than I know Tito.
Yes.
And I know Tito since I'm young, but there was the distinction of Tito being in the booth and somewhat a little bit more removed because Pastels was structured that way.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That for me, being in Buddies, like I could bang into you, or probably did bang into you about
Probably-
1.5
probably
million
did a few times.
So you know what I mean. So the friendship and the relationship, plus you have cousins that are good friends of mine too.
Right.
So it's like a whole family thing. But how old were you when you started out in this?
I had to be about 17, 18 years old.
I remember what you looked like, and you
Yeah,
always
it
were.
was a
you
lot
were-
different back then.
No, you're. My gosh, you're so handsome. But you always had that suave appearance when we would walk in. Always dressed to the nines.
Back
Always,
then, yeah.
always
Yeah.
dressed to the nines.
That's how you had to dress back then. It was like
Right.
it is now. People come with jeans on and T-shirts.
Sneakers.
It was shirts, and a lot of guys were there with shirts and ties.
Absolutely.
If you've seen Pastels, especially back in the 70s and 80s.
Had to wear a jacket.
Yeah, they were in with jackets and suits and ties, and nobody walked in with jeans on. You
No.
walked in with jeans, you weren't a lot in there.
No.
Or a T-shirt. But now
a
times have
different world.
changed. People, it's different now than it was years ago.
So when you first started, did you enjoy the music you were playing, or you played it because the crowd liked it?
When I first started, it was back in '78. I was young, and there was a lot of other guys out there that were doing so much, that were so ahead of the game. Benny Pucciarelli, Ted Courier, all these guys were out there, and it was just, wow, that's what I want to do, you know? So I would go there, just sit there, listen to them for hours. And if you know me, when I'm in the booth, I don't bother with nobody. I just sit there and one face, and that's it. I just sit there and I absorb
He's
all
in
the
the
music.
zone.
I'm
He's in
zoned
his
in.
own zone.
So I try to absorb what skills they had, and
Right.
try to just
And Danny Pooch, I mean, he's
Danny
the salt of the
Pucciarelli.
earth.
I mean, come on, these guys.
You gotta love Danny.
Anthony Bossia.
Yes.
These guys.
They are the
Yes.
pioneers when it comes to DJs. They are the pioneers.
There is none better, and
Yeah.
and who else to learn from the best?
Right.
That's what you learn, and you try. You make your own curves into what you want to do, something special, something different. But times have changed since the 70s and 80s, and things
absolutely.
changed a lot. Even the people that go out changed. They just they don't want anything new. They want our age wants everything the same music, played all the time, over and over again. And as soon as you put something out there that's a little different, a little new, it's like,
Dun, 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 dun.
wow, what are you playing? Why are you playing?
But I have to listen, because I have the pleasure of being in the same space when you're spinning. Over at the newer version of Pastels. So although you're playing classic hits that are like things that I really, really love, they're not. You never play the same straight set. You always change everything. And you throw a lot of curveballs in there that I didn't think I would hear, and then when I hear it, I'm like, and you could see it because I turn around to Lisa and I'm like, Lisa, I love this song. Yeah, I mean, you are downplaying your own accomplishments there because every time you spin, it's just different, and it's always great, always great. You're consistently always great.
And not to cut you off, but you know what's crazy when he's DJing in the booth? I mean, he's got that face. He is in the zone, but people love him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you go over, hey, Eddie, how you doing? He goes like, hey, and then right back to his,
But that also comes to the other part of Eddie, which is his, Eddie has great interpersonal skills. And you and your wife are like a team where you become friends and you're invested in your crowd.
Absolutely.
You know every single one of your customers.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that's
do. I know a lot
hundreds
of-
and
yeah.
hundreds of people.
Yeah.
You know who they are. You know, somebody's mother isn't well and somebody's child just got married and so forth and so on. And you hit those marks when you see
Right.
them. And you genuinely care because I
Right.
see how you interact with people.
Well, social media did a lot of the interaction too.
It
More
helps.
so,
That
a
really
lot.
helps
Helped a
because I
lot.
could not
Yeah.
keep up with people if it wasn't for Facebook. I just don't have the energy. with it. But, you know, like you're a fan fave. Everybody wants to come. I mean, yes, let's knock on wood. But that's a great thing to pat yourself on the back over. And your music repertoire's off the hook.
If the DJ plays what the people want to hear and not what they want to hear, I mean, we all know that, and every DJ will say it, we don't have to play the same music over and over again constantly. It just becomes a repetitious thing constantly.
Right.
But it's not what you want to hear. I mean, there's things I play where I want to cringe my teeth. I gotta play this again.
What's the one song you will never play?
To never play?
Will never play, no matter what.
I like to hear that.
I mean, only because, you know, our other brother,
never
Ralphie
play
D, I know his
or
song,
refuse
we'll
to
never play.
Or don't like to play it.
Okay, which one would you refuse? What's the one
Probably
song?
Celebration by Kool and the Gang, or, I mean, Young Hearts Run Free. I got so tired of that song. There's so many songs I just keep playing over and over again. But no matter how many times you play it, you know, I go by the reaction of what the crowd wants. If I see this record's not doing it, let's move to a different record.
Right.
Let's try something different. You know, I don't play a lot of remixes. I'm not a remix type of guy. I try to stick to the original track of the record, because the first thing anybody hears that knows the record or knows from radio is going to hear the original track. I try to play the original track to make it known to people. So it's these little things you have to look at when you're trying to steer a crowd the way you want them to go.
And it's funny because some DJs that I see who prefer the remixing, their crowds are like really, really into it, but your crowd really likes to hear the original song.
I don't think it's anything. I think some people like new stuff and you know, to be innovative and change and make sense. And some people like the originals.
Right.
To me, I like the originals. I mean, I do play remixes on certain stuff. I'll run a track before I even go there just to hear it, to see how it sounds. If I don't like it, I'm not playing it. You know, or I get a reaction from the crowd. I play it once. If I don't get a reaction, it goes in the archives.
You still have your do you still have your mixtape collection?
Yes, I do.
Because you had some like killer mixtapes back in the day.
Yes, I do. And after I did that. Some of that stuff I did that on vinyl in my basement, and that's where that's where Ralphie. When I started doing, I had this DJ thing in my basement, DJ booth, dance floor, and we were out there every weekend paying people to come into my house in my basement, and a bar down there, and me and Ralphie used to do tracks, and we used to DJ down there, and Danny Cole and Pucciarelli come down, and we used to have a great time. It was
amazing.
Fun. It was a fun time.
I remember being at Caesar's Bay Bazaar, and I remember getting a couple of your mixtapes.
I even played there. I even sold, yeah.
Yeah.
And me and Benny too.
Benjamin
Benjamin
Mendez.
Benjamin Mendez was big with
the hustle
Yeah.
dancer. I mean,
yeah.
he was
how I remember this is because I would get my nails
right.
and my beeper.
Beeper.
Yep.
You had a
And the
beeper?
bow and the bow for my car, all airbrushed on Saturdays at Caesar's Bay Bazaar, and it was, you know, for the week.
Right.
And I had to change my theme every week.
Oh,
my beeper and my nails, you know, because behind the bar, your nails have to be,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
they gotta be perfect. Yeah.
Yep. And it was like, oh, where's Eddie's new mixtape?
There
for
was
the
some
week?
booth. Somebody had selling clothes. Someplace that had a little booth. Also the feast the same way.
Yeah.
They always found somebody that would, buy something. But people enjoy the music. So,
Oh my God! I used to crank it in my. I had a BMW 320i. Pop that right into my Benzie box radio.
And cruising
And I'd
86th
take
Street?
it
You
out.
cruising like this?
Of course, I cruised 86th Street. Come on now, that was the.
I think everybody did.
Oh my God!
So even if people from Dyker Heights or people from Borough Park, they used to.
How did you guys meet each other? Because then I'm going to get into you, Tito.
You want to?
I knew Tito from Pastels. I didn't know Tito well, but I knew Tito from Pastels. I know he worked there. I know he played there. So I was always in and out of there, from Charlie
Sure.
and Dodgy.
Yeah.
And all those great guys you know.
Yep.
So I used to come in there, I should know of it. And I started doing stuff in Brooklyn again, like 15 years ago. And just happens I bumped into Tito again through Brooklyn, through my father's place. We started there, me and DeMarco. And we just hit it off,
You know, it's funny. The night I met Eddie, I knew I was throwing the first Pastels reunion party.
Oh, I remember that party. That was
2009, and I knew there was a big party going on at my father's place where he was DJing Woody, Joe DeMarco.
Right.
Woody, what a great guy.
Yeah, so
Oh my
I
God.
show up, Stephen Caban, and there's Joe Gambino at the door, with his leather jacket. And I look at Steve, I says, I don't think they're going to let us go in here and promote.
But I knew Steve very well.
Yeah, because he did parties for you, right? He did a couple of parties for
So
you.
Steve, he obviously sent Steve up to me because he would come up to me, obviously.
Right.
He goes to me, so why if we plug pastels?
Well, at first I went to Joe Gambino.
Sure.
And I said, hey, listen, I'm promoting a big
You mean
party.
DeMarco?
No, Joe Gambino.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was at the door. And he goes, well, listen, I'm the door guy here, so you might have to, you need to speak to Joe DeMarco. I said, okay, I'll speak to Joe DeMarco. I'm expecting a guy with a cigar. Hey, how you doing? What are you doing over
You
there?
didn't know Joe?
No, I didn't know Joe neither.
Are you kidding?
First time
Everybody
meeting.
knew Joe.
I didn't know
How
Joe.
did you not know
I didn't know
Joe?
Joe. That was the first time that night meeting Joe DeMarco.
Joe, Charlie, Dodgy, all of them. We
Listen,
all were at the
Albie.
bar, yes, staring at the booth in pastels.
I
We
did not
all
know
hung
him.
out together.
And I remember saying, hey, how you doing? I introduced myself, and I said, listen, I'm doing a big party. He goes, where? He goes, at the old, at Sweet.
Right.
At the time, it was called Sweet, the old Pastels. I said, he goes, what are you doing? He goes, I'm doing a Pastels reunion party. He looked at me, what? I said, yeah, I'm putting it together. Is it all right if I promote? He goes, absolutely. I was like, wow. Then that's when Stephen went up to him, and Stephen,
Yeah, first Joe came to me because
Right.
the guy's going to come and ask if he wants to promote. Let him promote.
And-
I said, all right. But Stephen came up to me, and I know Stephen because actually Stephen DJ'd my wedding.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
So
6 degrees
I
of
says,
separation
right,
all the way
exactly.
I
around.
says, yeah, so Steve, he loves the microphone, so I gave him the microphone and he announced it. And I guess it was about 2 weeks later he had the party.
Yeah, about, yeah.
And we actually gave us free tickets to
Right,
go in
they
the
all
party.
came. They all came
And
right-
we walked
right.
in this place and we couldn't get in.
That night, we had
The place was
1,400 people.
Packed.
Great.
Packed. And it reminded me of the old pastel days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just everybody a lot older, obviously. But it was. I'm surprised you weren't there.
I believe that the night that was going on, I was working, and I remember being so sad that
Yeah,
I
it
was,
was-
yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
it was
actually an
great.
amazing night because I don't think
I was so
anybody-
sad that I wasn't part of it, that I couldn't even be there.
It was
Because it was
a
such
great night.
a big
It really
part of my
was.
life, pastels.
Of course, you grew up. Pastels was your second
Back
home.
bar
right?
was the VIP, and all the hot shots were back there, and it was like old
I don't know what
times.
you're talking about, Eddie.
So it
The
was really
VIP.
nice. It was really nice.
It was one of those nights where I actually didn't know it was going to be that big. I mean, maybe 300 people, 400. But to have close to 1,400 people, they had to close the street off because there was so many cars. The cops came, the fire department
But the
came.
name of that club, it just, when people hear it, it makes them smile. It's like an ice cream truck
Yes.
driving down the block
Yes,
where
right.
you hear that,
Every
the
kid on the
familiar-
block with a big smile. That's
Yeah.
exactly when I announced it, when Steve announced it at
Right.
my father's place, the place just erupted. It was such a big uproar. I mean, when they heard the name Pastels, and I knew right away, this might be big. But I wasn't expecting all those people. They
Came from everywhere, from
They came-
Jersey,
yeah,
from
it
Long
was-
Island.
it
They
was
were-
amazing-
they were came
amazing
from
night.
everywhere.
Because pastels was important.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
mean, people, who are watching this on through CTV,
Mm-hmm.
if they're from Brooklyn, they know, even if they hated disco.
Right.
Because, it was that rock disco, rivalry thing
That's
back
right,
then.
right.
But pastels was never defined by just disco music.
Mm-hmm.
It was everything music. It was cutting edge music. It was, excuse me, just every week you would hear something, I mean, listen, we lived in there several nights a week. For me, it was a little different because I worked. So I would make sure that, I did not miss pastels.
Right.
I worked my schedule around, I worked hot competing nights in other places, but there was one night a week that was my solid night that like you were not going to take that away from me. I mean, unless it was like a one-off party
Right.
where they
I
offered
do
me a
believe
lot
that
of
was
money.
the
but-
longest club out running. Was that the longest club in Bay Ridge running?
I think
Was that-
it was. I think
Pastels was the
had to be.
longest
you also had
successful.
T.J. Bentley's because it was the same owners. Jasmus, Changes, T.J. Bentley.
Right.
And then it became, I forget the
Was it Hunters or something like that?
I don't recall, but they were around a long time.
Yes.
So-
Well, the operator, I mean, Tommy Sullivan, just
Right.
an amazing guy. I mean, he was just a lot of fun, and he really knew how to like
For a small club, I tell you, they were packed
All the time. all the time.
It was an amazing club.
Tito, how'd you get started in this?
Oh, Jesus.
He was dragged in, kicking and screaming.
Well, no,
Just,
because
just for the love of music. I mean, the music. My mom, dad playing. They were into 50s music, and my father was into Latin music, salsa, merengue, and stuff. And then the music. When I was like what, 16 years old at the time, and I went to my first club, and just.
do you remember the first club?
It was the first club had to be Shazams or something like that. It was in the city. It was in the city. I was, I think, 16 or 17 years old. And at the time, we got into clubs.
Sure.
Yeah. They didn't ask for ID. And
Wait, as long as you look like you behaved.
Or if you knew somebody.
Yeah,
No.
right.
So we walk into. I used to go with my cousins. It was like 8 of us. We were very close. And they wanted to go to clubs to dance. I wanted to just listen to music. So listening to the DJ mix the music, I was amazed by that. How does he do that? How does he take that makes the transition from one record to another? And I was just amazed. Every time, after that night, every time we went out, I would bring up a pad and a pencil, and I write down the songs. Write them down, all the mixes.
Right.
And then I asked my parents, can you get me 2 turntables? Not knowing I had to get a mixer. I had no clue what a mixer was.
Right.
So once I had the 2 turntables, now what? And they wasn't like that.
How do you take these 2 things and make what that guy just did?
Right. How
Yeah.
it's always, and then I met a friend on the block that was older than me, and he was DJing. And he said, so you need a mixer. And I said, boy, how much does a mixer cost? It's about $350. Back in '77, that was a lot of money.
$350 was a paycheck for.
Right. My parents were like, no, you need a pair of sneakers. That's what you need. You need sneakers. You need pants. No, Ma, I need a mixer. So she goes, all right. That's what when you go to school. That's what you're gonna wear. You're gonna wear a mixer. Just like that.
That's awesome.
Got the mixer. Friend came over. We showed me, how to do the, matching the beats. And it just.
And this is way before headphones and stuff. I mean,
No. We had headphones.
There was
Yeah.
headphones back
We had
then.
headphones, absolutely, yeah.
like not what you guys have now. I don't remember headphones like that back then.
No. They were headphones. They were regular headphones. They weren't like professional headphones. Regular headphones,
Because that is so important. Just
They were regular stereo
everything
headphones.
you do.
We used them on
Regular stereo
side or whatever the
headphones.
case was.
So as time went on, I went from belt-driven turntables to direct drive because the difference between belt and it's a big difference.
Right.
Trying to manipulate the platter with your hand, make it go faster or slower. With the first turntable I had, you couldn't do that. But with the direct drive, you could do that, and this way you can make the transition much easier. And my equipment started growing, and my collection started growing, and then it was time to go. I think it was like 18 or 19, and I went to a place, the old Gatsby's, where Danny was working. I went there, and it was like I met Danny. I forget how old I was, but he had told me, listen, we're closing. They're opening up a new place. And he says, you want to work? I says, absolutely. I says, when do I start? He goes, you give us some time. They want to renovate. So I left. I told my parents, hey, listen, I might get a job at the new place, the old Gatsby's. So I started thinking, I says, wait a minute, why would Danny, the DJ, ask me to work when he's the resident DJ? So what happened was, it was called La Coquette. It was not geared for disco. It was more like gypsy music and jazz. It wasn't really a disco.
Okay.
But I got the job. I went back when they opened up. I got the job, and I lasted probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, but
Because
you
I
still
couldn't-
got the understanding of what it was like to work
exactly.
professionally.
I was in a DJ booth, but I was playing the wrong music. All I had was disco records. They wanted to hear like jazz. They wanted to hear this other type of music, and I got fired. And then in '81, when I was 21 years old, I moved out to Staten Island, and I was working at Ben Hill. It was a men's clothing store in Kings Plaza. So I used to take the Staten Expressway home because I lived in Great Hills. Someone told me take Father Capodanno is faster to Highland Boulevard. I said, okay. So I took Father Capodanno. I saw a nightclub. It was called Lovely Legs.
Lovely Legs?
Lovely Legs. It was up the block from Scarlett's.
I know what Scarlett's was.
Okay, so it was up the block. It was a dive.
Yeah.
I went in there, and I met the guy, Pete, and he was the owner. And I says, listen, I'm looking for a job. He goes, what do you do? I said, I'm a DJ. What do you DJ? I work at Xenons. He goes, you work at Xenons?
I loved Xenons.
Wait a minute, no, I was lying.
But yeah, I know you, so I know that. Yeah.
So he goes, really? He goes, what nights you work? I got the off nights. I'm looking for a Friday and Saturday. He goes, well, why don't you work on a Friday? I go, so, well, I'm just a backup DJ. But I do Mondays, I do Tuesdays. At that time, clubs were open like 7 days a week.
Sure.
So he hired me. And it was probably the most people I ever got in that place was 7. And 5 of them were family. So it was a dive.
Right.
Up the block, there was Scarlett's.
Right.
So that was an opportunity for me to go, okay, now I go up the block and I speak to a guy named John. All right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And he goes, all right, so he had a book like that, a notebook. He goes, write your name in a book. We'll give you a call. So when I opened the book, they had like 1,000 DJ names in there. And that's where I had to put my name in. I said, wait, all these guys? I got to, they were way ahead of me. I was like the last guy on the list.
He had a roster of specific DJs.
And so I put my name down, and I waited a couple of months, never got called. So I used to take Sand Lane to Highland. And one night, coming home from work, I took Father Capodanno and went to Midland Avenue. And on the Midland Avenue was a club called Blossoms. I said, wow, this place looks like it's happening. I go in, and meet a gentleman by the name of Joe. Mm-hmm. And Joe says, hey, listen, we're looking for a DJ. I said, I'm your man. He goes, where you work? I worked at Scarlett's. I worked at Lovely Legs. I worked at Xenons. I worked at La Coquette. He goes, really? All those places? Yeah. He goes, okay, so you start Sunday. I said, and it was like Thursday. He goes, I said, this Sunday? He goes, yeah, you start Sunday. I go home. I'm all excited. I tell my wife. She goes, you're not working there. She said, you're not working there. Because at the time, the place was known as a meat market.
And had the affiliation with some of the prior places didn't bother her?
No, because they were dead.
The only place?
There was no one in these places. This place was, that Blossom was happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a small club, but it was a happening club. So, we
there were a lot of pretty people there.
Yes,
yeah.
We argued back and forth. That night I went. We just got married. At the time, I had a 1970 Buick Skylark. I get all my crates in the car. I go, I'm so excited. I'm very excited. I go in. And then the DJ, Scotty, was the resident DJ. He was there. And I was taking his spot because he was a teacher. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't do, they were open like 6 nights a week.
Can't do it during the...
So they're giving me Sundays. They'll give me the off nights. They'll give me Sundays and I think Tuesdays or something like that. So he was there. You show me how to work the equipment, how to turn everything on, the lights. The owner comes over, Joe comes over and says, Tito, your wife is outside.
Huh.
She wants to see you.
I don't know this part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I never heard this.
So Red O'Tight, because that's why I met Red. Red was the busboy at the time.
Oh, my gosh.
So it was so embarrassing. So I go outside, and my wife says, it was raining, and she's like, you're coming home now. I was so embarrassed. So I went inside, I told the owner, I said, Joe, I gotta go. What do you mean you gotta go? And then Scotty, the D, goes, you can't go. You're working. He goes, no, I can't work here. And that's when Joe tells me, the owner tells me, you'll never work here ever again.
If you leave now, you're done.
You'll never work anywhere, he said. Mm-hmm. Not only here, anywhere. And I was like, oh my God. That's when I got the taste of...
Sure.
I left. I left.
You did?
I left, got in the car, went home. I started breaking records when I got home. Because I was so...
You probably broke some good ones.
So I was really upset. Blossom ended up closing, and Whispers was the new place. They were same owners, but they Blossom closed down, so they opened in Whispers. And they still had Scotty, the main DJ. So I went back there. And this was like about a year later.
Oh, my God.
I went back, and Joe goes, I remember you. I said, Yeah, that was a long time ago. He goes, that was last year. He goes, I said, yeah, but I was much younger. And he goes, do you really want to work? I said, I do. I really want to work. He goes, okay, I'm going to put you on. He put me on Tuesday. I got the job Sundays and Tuesdays. That grew to Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. That grew to Sunday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I was working every night.
And Lori was okay?
She was okay with it.
Okay.
I was making more money in that place than I was making at Ben Hill. You can't compare.
Yes,
the
I know.
amount of money.
I know.
I bought my house with the money I made at Whispers.
You know, it's funny because people would turn around back in the day and look at me and go, oh, bartending, why do you want to do that? And I'm like, you totally misunderstand. Bartending, DJing, come on now.
At that time, you had big spenders. I mean,
Yes.
everybody at the bar, I mean, these were,
yes. It was an unusual crowd.
Yes,
But I have
yes.
to say, in retrospect, after hearing the story, which I actually never knew
Right.
this, although I know you for so long, you bit the bullet by not going to work with that list in Johnny's book.
you know what?
You were very, very, very
yes.
fortunate.
Because
your life would not have
Right, it would
worked
have
out
been
in
different.
this
Right.
way. Yeah.
Working for Joe, and I can mention his name, Joe Palumbo, because I was,
Such a gentleman.
Yes, he was a very hard guy to work for, but he was by the book,
Yeah.
And I learned so much. I mean, I met so many people through him.
He had a stellar reputation. I mean, it was difficult to,
Right.
some people say, I can't work for X, Y, and Z. It's because the people are too strict or whatever, because they don't want to take their job seriously. But if you go in there with the intentions of,
Right.
I want to do this, I want to become this.
Right.
I mean, I remember my first bartending gig. Holy crap, I didn't really know how to make anything, and I just wanted it so badly, because I had gotten a taste of it by accident.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Somebody threw me behind a bar in a very, very packed place, only because the bartender broke his arm. And I went to private school, and they had the understanding that I knew math. I'm just like, that was it. I was flat, and they gave me a bunch of cocktail napkins to put in my shirt, And they were like, okay, just charge everybody the right amount of money and get, every drink is whatever. I'm like, I didn't know how to make anything. But I wanted it the same way you wanted
exactly.
it. You have that drive.
Right. And it was crazy because I was introduced to that world, which I only saw on television. Mm-hmm. And to see it actually there in front of my eyes, I mean, it was like, this is real. I thought this was all fake. I was never in that world.
Yeah.
And I became part of that world.
That whole, the group of friends of John's, I knew very, very well.
Right.
He's a different story. I mean, I knew him too, but he's a different story. But his group of friends some of them are still really good friends of mine today,
It's crazy.
It was a wild, wild group of gentlemen.
I mean, the stuff that the way they dressed. I mean, if you watch the movies back then, Mean Streets or any The Godfather, the way they were so classy.
Yes, yes.
The way and their money.
Oh yeah, like they were
would throw
printing it in
money
the
at you,
basement.
like, all right, here's, it was crazy because there was different groups of
all
people,
different groups
right,
of friends, of friendship circles.
So on each part of the bar, there was this crew, the different crews, and they were sending one of the guys to tell me to change the music. Change the music, and we want to hear Frank Sinatra. What? People are dancing.
The place is jumping.
He's just jumping. He goes, we'll throw $100. Here's 100. I said, all right, Frank Sinatra it is. And the owner, Joe, he was okay with it.
Because they were his friends.
And then another guy would come and goes, listen, no one ever play Frank Sinatra again. Play Dean Martin. I'd be, what? And I was like, here's $100. All right, so we'll play Frank Sinatra. And that was like all night. Hundreds. Dean Martin, who like Julio Iglesias, Dinah Washington, Shirley Bassey. It was, and then after 4 o'clock, we used to stay open to 4 o'clock. That's when the public left, and then the party really started at 4 o'clock.
My girlfriends and I used to say nothing is fun until 3:01 in the morning.
It was insane. And I would say, hey, listen, I gotta go. I gotta work tomorrow. How much you make? And I said, all right, this is what I make. Goes here. And he'll pay me what I make in a week, so I won't have to go to work the next day. It was just amazing. And then my wife, She didn't say anything because the money was coming in.
Because she knew you were working for the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was times where I'm ready to tell you. I mean, I would fall asleep. And there was like you put on a mixed CD or something like that because there was no mixed CDs. There was at the time there was even a cassette player in the DJ booth. So I would play an album, like I'll play a whole album of Frank Sinatra, and I'll go on the floor and I'll fall because we were there till like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Do you know, I used to sleep in the DJ booth underneath the turntables when Anthony Menino would work.
Okay.
In the beginning of the nights, because I used to do so many
Was
doubles
that place
and
on
triples.
3rd Avenue?
Yep, Razzles.
Razzles.
And I would sleep
Razzles.
underneath the turntables, and when the crowd got when the place got crowded, Anthony would nudge me awake, and I would run downstairs and go behind the bar, because I was working triples.
Right.
So I remember those, you know.
And that's where you made the most money too. The money was just flying all over the place. It was like.
And then you develop the friendships and stuff, and then
Well,
they
that
give
was
you
another
more
thing.
because they love you and they become friends with you.
There was one guy that was very close with the owner, and his name was Joe. Everybody's name was Joe, Vinny, you know.
It's all the Saints guys, all the Saint names.
And this guy Joe wasn't even Italian, believe it or not.
Yes, I know.
So
Yeah.
he was like 6 feet tall. I mean, I always looked at him, and he reminded me of John Wayne. You know, that walk.
He had
the
swagger.
talk. Swag, yeah. So he came in one time, and he says to me, I want it louder. I think I might have told you this story. Mm-hmm. And I made it louder. And he's on the floor doing this thing with his girl, and he's going like this. So I made it louder. I made it so loud that that's it. It was on 10. And he's doing his thing, and he's going like this. So stupid me, I go in the back with all the amps were the equalizer, and there's volumes on the equalizer, so I raised them. When I came out, he was like this. Just like that. And I had to run back in. So he came over to me and goes, now I want you to play this. And he threw $100 on the record I was playing. So I took the 100 and I threw it back at him. Oh yeah.
I didn't.
So what he did next, I'm going to tell you, I didn't really, he grabbed me by the neck, he picked me up, and he said, if you ever do that again,
Yes.
I'll put you in a shoebox.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy. Imagine me in a shoebox.
At least a couple of pieces if you would have wound up in there. Oh my goodness.
Let me tell you, that night, Red saw it, and Red's brother saw it. They came running over to me because he put me back down and he walked away like nothing. I said, this is my last night. And Red's brother goes, no, you can't leave. You can't leave. You can't leave. I said, I'm done. I'm calling my uncle. He's a cop. Cop, don't even mention cop.
Taboo.
Don't mention the word cop in here. I said, I don't care about these guys. I don't care. I'm done. I packed my records, and I went out the side door. The next day, I'm at work, and my boss says, you got a call. And it's Joe, the owner. Listen, Joe wants to apologize. So I went, what?
What? He doesn't.
He wants
doesn't
to apologize for what
ever.
happened. Wait a minute. I said, no way. I know exactly what he wants me to do. He wants me to go there. He's going to kill me. Why are you saying that on the phone? What are you, crazy? I said, no, I'm not coming back. Then Brett got on the phone, Brett's brother. May he rest in peace. And he says to me, Brett, Tito, please, come back. We want you to come back. Brett, are you sure? Yeah, come back. Joe wants to apologize. So I went there, I met up, and I told my wife, if I'm not back in a half hour, call the cops. That's exactly how it went down. I walked into the club. Brett was there. Joe, the owner, and Joe,
Yeah.
the other Joe was there. And he apologized.
I'm kind of shocked.
And I was told I was
Yeah,
that's
because he was not an
unheard
apology
of.
kind of guy.
And from that day that he apologized, I became his personal DJ. All his parties I did, backyard party in the city, restaurants. Mm-hmm. He had 2 penthouses. I hooked up sound system in both. We became so close, and I had carte blanche in the city. It was amazing the places I walked into, and they knew I was coming because of,
Right.
And it was just
So
just
how did
amazing.
you get to, because now I just can't even believe it's been going by so quickly. We have 20 minutes. I want to know how you got from Staten Island to Pastels.
So now,
And then you need to tell us about the Pastels
real quick,
experience.
Whispers ended up closing, and it became Coconuts. Mm-hmm. And from Coconuts, it became Excuses. And then towards the end of Excuses, I knew they were going to close. And I was there 9 years. That's unheard of, 9 years
Sure.
in one spot. And a friend of mine said, Joe, where would you like to work? So I mentioned 2 places. There was a place called Illusions, which was the old Plaza Suite, and Pastels. I says, I would like to work at Pastels. He goes, no, go to Illusions, see my friend, the guy's name was Caesar. See my friend Caesar. So I went there. I went to Illusions, a beautiful, huge nightclub. Ralphie was in the DJ booth. At the time, I already knew Ralphie.
Right.
And I said, I can't work here. Ralphie's here. Even though I fell in love with the place, I said,
But Ralphie was everywhere.
yeah, that's true. Ralphie was in every club.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that vibe. It was like, so, and then I went to Pastels, and that was my first time there. I walked into Pastels, and that was it.
It was such a magical place.
Fell in love with the place. That's where I met Dennis Cigar.
How many years did you work at Pastels?
Total was close to 18 years.
Wow.
So if you thought 9 was unheard of,
Right.
18, insane.
18 years in one spot, and it's, again, unheard of.
So I know, because we're friends, there are some funny stories about all of this in Pastels that share in a nice way.
Right.
The time where I think it was you and Ralphie, and somehow the wrong videos got up on the screen.
No, that was Ralphie's. Ralphie.
No, I think they were together.
No, well, Ralphie did it first, and then I did it. But again, what happened was...
So you're not
had
just
to-
being a DJ, because you guys also did lights, you did videos,
Well,
you did
no,
all
we had a
sorts of
light
stuff.
man.
But you guys knew, like...
Well, of course, we knew the whole...
Yeah.
Just in case the lighting didn't show up, we did the lights. Excuse me. At the time, music videos were coming out, so we had to mix videos. And that was a big thing.
That was hard, too,
It
to
was
mix
very
a video.
hard.
Yeah, it was very hard.
So we also had satellite. So anytime there was a fight, or anything happening in sports, we would show it on the monitors. And so we had satellites. So we had access to all different channels. One of them being porn. So it was on the screen, and someone hit the switch when Ralphie was there. I don't know, but I know when I was working, Red was the light man. So I know, I'm not saying anything. So the porn is now on every monitor.
And how many monitors did
And it was
Pastels have?
everywhere. Everywhere you looked, there was a monitor. And there's, the act.
It's like looking in an apartment building with
it
windows.
was crazy. Now Cosmo Cosmo was one of the owners.
Yeah.
Of Pastels. He didn't like me.
I didn't connect
I didn't like
with
him. He
either.
didn't like me.
He
So
and I
there was
didn't
no
connect.
chemistry. There was no
Yeah.
chemistry there.
I was friendly with all the owners but him.
Now, if you remember the
Not
glass.
a bad person, we just didn't
The
gel.
DJ booth was surrounded. It was all glass, right? He's banging on the glass, and I'm looking at him. What the hell? What do you want? Leave me alone. He goes, look. He's pointing, and I was like, oh God. I said, and Red's like this. He's like enjoying that. I said, Red, what are you doing? And he goes, oh my God. And we took it off right away. But it happened to Ralphie, and it happened to me.
I think that's a great story. I do. It's one of my actually favorite stories of Pastels, because it happened a few times at Pastels with porno coming up on it, and I remember being there a few times, like looking and go, whoa!
Yeah,
it was like
because you don't expect anything like that.
No.
So working at Pastels, that was a great experience.
What was your favorite memory of being at Pastels?
Just everyone that walked into Pastels actually danced their way in.
Yes.
It wasn't. It was.
We
just,
heard the music and we were dancing.
It was a
from the
huge
door.
nightclub. I went from a small club to a huge nightclub, where like you said, everybody was in suits,
Right.
Dresses. I mean, they were dressed to the nines. And just watching them dance to my music, because the floor was big. It was a big dance floor.
Yeah.
And just to see heads going up and down, because I was on top, and just to see that, I mean, I was like, I just fell in love. It was like I could do this forever. I could do this forever.
And you almost did forever.
And I did 9 years, and it was, and then it was ready to close down. I was like, what am I going to do now? Where am I going? But again, it opened up many other, doors. I also worked at Atlantis, Element. I worked in a lot of clubs on off nights. Mm-hmm. I wasn't allowed to work in anywhere in Brooklyn because I was at Pastels. But they gave me the okay to work in Staten Island.
And all while you were doing this, you also were doing stuff in the studio.
I was working for I worked for KTU. I worked for 105. I worked for CBS. I mixed tapes. I did.
And you have your name credited on some records.
Yes, I also wrote a song for Little Susie, which at the time when I was writing music, which I didn't know I was just put words together. I was like, wow, okay. I put a melody together.
Little Susie was like really cool.
So I was picked up by Metropolitan Records. I produced it and wrote it. I co-produced it with Victor Franco. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I didn't know anything. It was like, okay, so I didn't sign any papers. I didn't get any credit. I got credit on the record, but I got no money, no mechanical royalties, nothing like that. And that was the end of my career. That was the only song I wrote. I wrote other songs for Stephen Caban and for my brother-in-law, but they were picked up by DJ International, but we never pursued it because we had to travel. DJ International was located in Chicago, and we had to travel to Chicago. And at the time, we both had day jobs, and we couldn't just leave. We had families, and then that was a short-lived career.
I do remember though being in Vinny's studio and coming across some records that your name was on it. I'm like, holy crap, this is very impressive.
Yeah, so, I've been so fortunate. I worked in radio stations. Just to work, I was considered a mix master. Mm-hmm. It's only about 10 of us. Antonio Correo is a mix master. Glenn Chichiri, he's a mix master. There's a couple other guys. What
is the distinction? I know what it is, but share it with everyone else what that means.
All right, so at the time, it was Joe Corsi, he coined that expression. If you worked on a radio station and mixed, you were automatically a mix master because you were on the radio. KTU at the time was probably number one, when it first came out. And it was a big station. And then I worked for CBS FM, which was number one also, another number one station. And I did their mix shows.
Wow.
So I was considered a mix master.
You should be so proud of yourself.
I am. Listen, again, I'm very, it's something that I love doing. I got paid to do it.
How cool is that?
And I'm still doing it.
Well, yes. So, I know that you worked in all these other places, but you do something very unusual now at Roller Jam.
And believe it or not, it's been 15 years now.
So you have longevity in each one of the places.
Right.
So Roller Jam is really, really unique, though.
Roller Jam is unique. It's an urban crowd. Basically,
it's a roller rink.
It's a roller rink, a skating rink with a bar.
Which
no one has that. And at the time, remember United Skates?
Sure.
There was no bar there. Hot Wheels in Long Island. There's no roller rink that exists with a bar in the United States. Roller Jam is the only one.
So you've been there now 16 years?
15.
15 years? And you play R&B, house?
R&B, deep house, and hip hop. And some down-tempo disco. Like the funky stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's different. That's why I give these guys credit, Eddie and Tony and Ralphie and all these guys, because for me, I could never do that. I could never go into Pastels or Z2, whatever, and play disco classics. There's no feel for it. I like freestyle, but that's another. I'm tired of that also. But
I like freestyle. I like house.
I like techno. I can't get into it. And if I don't have a feel for it, and then I can't get the crowd going.
Right.
You have to have some kind of feel. You got to feel. I know sometimes the DJs feed off the crowd, but you have to also feel the songs you're playing.
The love that you have for the music, and the fact that you were so affiliated with the original Pastels.
Right.
It's so interesting that you and your partners created another Pastels in Staten Island, and the grand opening of this newer version
Oh God.
was so well received that it was very reminiscent of the original Pastels for that.
Pastels.
There was a deep line until after 1
And
o'clock in the morning in the parking
that
lot.
particular night, it had to be like 0 degrees.
Yes.
People were outside waiting to get in.
Yes.
It was like the old days.
Yes.
People waited outside online to get in. Didn't matter if it was snow and rain or whatever. They waited. These people waited at Z2 to get in.
Because the name Pastels was there, and
I was fortunate.
They fell in love with the place.
I was
because,
fortunate, not to cut you off, I was very fortunate for them to give me the name.
Yes.
The okay, yes. Take the name, you could use it. I was like, wow, that meant a lot to me.
Well, you've always maintained a very close friendship with
Dennis.
Dennis and his wife Mary.
Yes.
I mean, she's
beautiful. They're beautiful.
They're both beautiful people.
Yeah,
I loved them dearly.
Right.
And she had a great catering business with the original Pastels. I mean,
catering.
decorating.
Professor.
Decorating too.
Decorating. Now she's into baking. She's a chef now.
Her stuff is outrageous. When you look at it, it's almost too beautiful to eat.
Talented?
Yeah. She's crazy talented.
Yes, absolutely.
Very talented.
And everything she does, she puts 100% into whatever she does.
But she's just so full of love. When you see Mary, her personality is just so.
And even working when she had the catering business, she had her whole family working. Her mom, her
aunt.
Really her aunt, but
aunt.
because they're like her mom, her sisters, but they were all beautiful.
Yes.
I love working for them.
Yeah.
I worked for them for a long time too, so.
That's a very cool thing.
Yeah.
But I love how the experience really profoundly touched you in a way that you just wanted to recreate that in Staten Island and bring back the memories to everybody here. And then, I don't know, it was like 6 degrees of separation. You really should have known each other before you met at that point.
Right.
You should have known each other for a longer
No,
time.
I knew
place.
of him, but I didn't know him that personally.
Right.
You know how you worked you worked a lot?
Yes.
You didn't get a chance to go out?
Difference with being a bartender is that I was more.
You interacted more with people, right?
My ability to talk to people.
Right, I didn't have that ability.
Yeah.
So, but I worked every night.
I always felt like, why would I want to hang out if I could get paid to work?
No, I get it.
You're making money hanging
Absolutely.
out. So I loved it, but there were certain places that I made sure I hit after work.
Right.
When I worked in Little Italy, one of my biggest haunts to go to was the Amazon Club over on the highway. Yeah.
On the west side. Was it on the west side?
Yeah. I think it's now the City Winery or something like that.
Right.
But I couldn't wait for the place to close up for me to run to the Amazon to hit them for last call, or the China Club,
right.
or there's a place called the Surf Club up in the high numbers, and that place was banging. And there were certain restaurants.
Oh
yeah, but there were certain restaurants that you wanted to be at. You wanted to be at Canastells,
right.
Las Halles, before Anthony Bourdain became like a rock and roll rock star chef. God rest his soul.
Yes.
I mean, he was my friend in the restaurant.
That's great.
Bouncing off, ideas and all sorts of things, and just like hanging out and talking about how was your night? How was your night?
Right.
New York was just amazing at that point.
There was a whole different scene in the city. I mean, I had an opportunity. I did work in the city. The place was called Wands. I didn't last there too long. I was young again. I was younger. But my residency was Pastels, and I was very fortunate. And I was so fortunate in this career that I've never stopped working. The day I started, and I'm still working. At 62, I just can't believe that I'm still DJing and / promoting.
And enjoying it.
And enjoying every minute.
Anthony too. Anthony, same thing.
Anthony, yeah.
There was a time in the 90s where I was actually got married and had 7 years of marriage and had children and stopped. But some of these guys have been doing this straight through for 40 years.
Anthony too. Anthony's another one. Anthony has been in the business longer than I have, and he's never stopped working. So
that's amazing. If the two of you had to pick one place that you did not work at, but you would have liked to work, you would have wanted to be, at least one night spending in this one particular place, where would it be?
It's a rough one.
I
would
don't
have
know.
loved to work in a place called Infinity. Infinity.
Yeah?
That place had to be a block long.
Yeah.
And the DJ, Jim Burgess, was an amazing DJ.
Awesome.
Back in the day, the DJs, when they mix they did a long mix.
Right.
Now you can't do that because people, they want to hit a song real quick and then the next song. Back in the day, they would play 15 minutes of a song. And then the mix would be very long.
Right.
So to be in a place like Infinity, that would have been my dream place.
Yeah?
Yeah, that would have done.
What about you, Eddie? What would have been that
There's
one
a few
place?
places I was considering that would like to play. That Metro 700 was one of them.
That's another big club.
That I always wanted to do. Fortunately, I went there a few times for work, but it was just there's too many. There was too many. The book was a Bible.
Yeah.
Non-DJ trying to get in there at that time, and probably I would say it's hard. It's
Tell
hard.
pastels. Come on, spit it out.
Not really pastels. That was Ralphie.
I think
Can't get in with pastels. Ralphie there.
I think everybody wanted to work at Pastels. Every DJ.
Well, of course, because the place was amazing.
It was
I mean,
it was crazy because when I worked, I was very close with Al Hanna. Mm-hmm. He was another
He
great
was the
boss.
best. He was a good guy.
loved Al. Absolutely.
And then my friends would come
and his
in.
wife and his boys
Great
are
people.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
And I would have DJs come visit me because, like I said, everybody wanted to work at Pastels. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were packed, 1,000 people. Come
Yeah.
on. And my friends would come in. Hey, Tito, and I will always, mi casa, su casa.
Sure.
You want a DJ? Go ahead. Go ahead. I would let any DJ, all the DJs came visit me, go ahead, do a set. No, that's unheard of also. No DJs that does that. At the end of the night,
secure DJs do that.
at the end of
There's
the
a
night,
difference.
I would go into the office to get paid. Al Hanna was the one that paid me all the time. He goes, hey, Tito, look what I got. And he was showing me a stack of DJ business cards. These are my friends. Mm-hmm. He goes, well, what should I do with this? I said, I don't know. He goes, I tell you what, and he ripped them, throw them in the garbage. So, it's like I said, every DJ, I think that.
Yeah,
Sure.
I would have liked to work at
Ralphie
Pastels,
was a
but-
It's like a dream
I worked
there.
at Pastels way after that, but
Right.
as far as the early years of
Yeah,
Pastels,
Ralphie's
I went there, I said, Dodge, get me in there. Hey, what are you doing? Well, you want to work? You want to work? You want to do a Ralphie? You throw him out? I said, all right, Dodge.
I never worked at Pastels. I just I didn't get along with Cosmo. So
It was very hard to get along with.
But when you worked at I worked in the Limelight, so I had the best of both worlds.
you
I
had
could,
the
I could
city,
hang out in.
you talk about the city in Brooklyn.
Yeah, but still, I mean, monetarily, it was both the same.
Right,
They were
right.
both, like earning joints, but. You couldn't imagine being in two better. I got the best of both worlds. I got to hang out in one of the hottest clubs in the city.
I was never in Limelight. I've never
and
was in
work there,
Limelight.
and then go hang out in the greatest
was
club
in
in
there.
Brooklyn.
So you must have seen some crazy
Kind
stuff.
of weird stuff in there.
What happened in the
Plato's
Limelight stays
Retreat.
in the Limelight.
She was too young for Plato's Retreat.
I know what Plato's Retreat was.
You were too young for that. Because I was too young also. I wanted to go, but I was too young.
It's
I
not
was
that
like
I would
16,
go there,
17.
but I know, like, I'm acquainted with Crisco's Disco and Plato's
Crisco's Disco.
Crisco's
Yeah,
Disco.
yeah. And
Chrissy
Plato's
T's.
Retreat and all those places, yeah.
Jesus.
I it was. I used to have to drive to go get candy and stuff like that in all the
I think a friend
clubs.
of mine, I think it might have been Jerry Rocco. You know Jerry?
Yeah.
He goes, we're going to go to Plato's Retreat. I got to stop there. He could pay up something. He goes, take a ride with me.
No,
I'm saying-
we're all too good. I could never
So-
go to Visitation
so I'm
Academy
saying,
the next day
okay.
after going to Plato's Retreat. But we are this time is coming to an end. I want to thank you both.
You're
I
very
love
welcome.
you so much.
Love you too.
It was a
Thanks
pleasure.
for being here.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for watching.